What up, y'all? Welcome back. Lockdown Universe. Getting creepy, getting weepy, getting creepy and screepy. Well, anyway, welcome back. If you haven't heard of the song before, it's a nice lead-in to what we got going on. It's going back to 97. Little 9 Inch Nails and David Bowie collab. I love this song so much because it really describes this episode and what we're going to get into, and it describes really the feeling of being an American and having the highest prison population in the entire world per 100,000 people. That's exactly what we feel like. We're afraid of Americans too, brother. Don't worry about it. So this is a David Bowie and 9 Inch Nails Trent Reznor collab, and they both look young. 1997. They both Trent Reznor's chasing him around New York City. It looks like, and he's David Bowie's looking freaked out. He's like, "What the hell is going on?" Because he's a very refined Englishman. He doesn't have any time for these crazy New Yorkers. So, what are we going to talk about today? We're talking about an amazing event that happened in New York, actually, New York State, near Buffalo, in 2006. So in 2006, we have a story from PNM.com that talks about these hooded reptilians that walked straight through the wall and abducted a young man's girlfriend's sister right in front of him. So this young gentleman is just having a hangout at his girlfriend's house. He's 20 years old, right? He's just hanging out after a long night, and I'll read to you his exact story that he wrote in. So let's go up to the top here. I apologize, the computer's going a little slow here. So he states, "Hello, sir. I witnessed an alien abduction in 2006. This occurred when I was 20 years old. It occurred in Williamsville, New York, outside of Buffalo. It was sometime during the week, and I was driving from work straight to my then-girlfriend's house for dinner. She lived with her mother, her grandmother, and her younger sister, just the four of them living in the house, so all females. I helped set up the table for dinner." What a nice gentleman. And he stated, "After having dinner with my girlfriend and I spent about 2 hours up in her room, laying around, talking, and making plans for the coming weekend. And it was getting late, and I had to be up early for the following morning, so I decided to call it a night. I put on my jacket, kissed my girlfriend goodbye, and then headed down the stairs. But what he found down the stairs would terrify. So I made my way towards the front door, which led through the kitchen. Before I could even make another move, I saw two creatures. Leading the younger sister towards the front door, I was absolutely stunned. It was so shocking. I felt like I was out of my body watching this happen, which is exactly what a lot of abductees and eyewitness accounts state they feel as well. They state they feel like they're out of their body, they're temporarily frozen, their synapses aren't even working. All they can just do is literally intake what's going on around them. That's it. And sometimes they can't even remember it. Sometimes they have to go to hypnotic regression to even remember what's going on. Okay, so this is not the first time, nor will it be the last time. And this is just another example of what can happen when you're around a reptilian. They can really make you forget a lot. So it's pretty messed up. So let's get back to the story. So he states there were two creatures leading the younger sister towards the front door. They were both small in size, with long arms and a long neck, and wore tight black jumpsuits. How fashionable of them. I stood there watching them as they walked through the wall. There was another one much taller. His face looked scaled and brown. He was wearing a robe with a hood over his head. He honestly looked like a lizard. He came out of the bedroom from where the two others came from, leading the way for the younger sister. At this point, I was panting and my heart was racing. Yeah, that's what I would feel like too. I'm afraid of Americans, reptilians, and anything else you can name. So, what else happened? Okay, let's keep going along in this magical journey because she's not going to end up back in her bedroom like most abductees. Maybe their shirt would be backwards or whatever. You know, that happens a lot in abduction cases, but not this case. He states, I don't remember anything else but waking up next to my girlfriend upstairs in her bedroom. That's where he woke up. He didn't wake up outside. He woke up upstairs in her bedroom. He was leaving. A lot of times, what will happen in abductions is that they'll end up where they were going so that they don't remember anything out of the ordinary. Why would they end up back upstairs when he was leaving, right? He states, I remember so vividly that this happened. I remember every detail and the fear that overtook my entire being. The sister was spotted by neighbors, laying naked and unconscious in the front yard the same night. I told my girlfriend everything I saw. She told me that this had been occurring since she was a child and they kept it a family secret. This also was a big reason why their father had left them years ago. After this experience, there have been many other paranormal happenings at the house, particularly with the sister. Seems like this poor sister has something that they want. DNA or something else. Or, fear or adrenochrome or whatever the case is. We continued to date for a little over a year. I can't imagine dating this girl for a little over a year after this happened. Now, he stated that finally they broke up and they've kept in touch for several years, and the strange happenings only got more intense. That's mind-blowing. Don't they have like some exorcists come in here? They have the military come in here? Can't they have somebody come and help these guys out? Can't they save these guys somehow? He says it's been 16 years since he's spoken to his previous girlfriend. I got a lot of questions about this particular event. Number one, okay, these are reptilians abducting someone. You may see some reptilians. You may see some reptilians out and about. They may be doing some exploring. They may be doing some aggressive tactics. They may be attacking somebody of importance or something like that. You typically don't hear about them abducting. You know why? Because they have other species do it for them, or they have biological clones doing it for them. The biological clones being the little grays. They're just little biological clones. That's it. That's what they do. They abduct people for other species. That's what they do. So for reptilians to be there on site, they're putting themselves at risk. These guys are smart. They're not going to put themselves at risk. This girl must have been a high importance target, or there's some other reason we can't explain and figure out. And two other smaller beings, were they also reptilian? He doesn't say they're specifically reptilian in the article, but I'm going to go up to the title of the article real quick and just see. Shocked by hooded lizards, plural. Okay, so these two little guys were lizards as well. How many times have you heard of small lizards? Now, he said smaller, so I'm assuming smaller than him. My assumption. I'm assuming this guy, this young man, 20 years old, is probably 5'10" to 6 feet tall. My guess. And if they were smaller, then they'd be smaller than him. Meaning, these two wouldn't be the reptilians of 13-foot tall nature that we've heard of from like Corey Good and many others, Randy Kramer and so on and so forth, and even other abductees. But they did have with them one leader type reptilian that was brown and scaly in nature, literally looked like a reptilian, according to this witness. So what does that mean? It means this guy, this lizard, this reptilian went out on his own with these two little guys and walked right through a wall with this girl. So not only can they walk through walls, but they could take the girl right through walls, which makes a lot of sense, okay? And I'm going to tell you why. Because so many people, including myself, have had abduction events happen that cannot be explained. They can't be explained. You get taken out of a home that it has 100% doors locked and alarms set. Maybe not cameras, but alarms set and doors 100% locked. and sometimes double locked, and sometimes the door is stuck to the point that you can't even lift it without being an adult. Yet these children are being abducted and taken. So if they can walk through walls, it makes it a hell of a lot easier, doesn't it? They can take you right through the wall. Like I said, my other experience was having an abduction event happen and going right past my parents as they had terrified faces and being carried through the air, lifted through the air somehow, some way. It felt like I was being carried back to my bedroom. And parents in the dark, not pitch black, but dark enough to where it was pretty dark. I could see their faces with a backlight of the moon, and they were terrified, but they couldn't move. Much like many of these abductees state while they're in these huge or larger ships with multiple humans on them. So for this being to be robed makes sense. Of course he's going to try to hide his appearance. He doesn't want people to see who he is. And to walk right through a wall in New York State and apparently into a UFO craft in New York State must have been cloaked. My question is, why didn't they cloak themselves while they were in this home? Couldn't they just cloak themselves, cloak the girl, and walk right out? What if somebody was walking down the hallway with a gun? And wouldn't they be worried they could get blasted? What if somebody had some sort of other weapon, an auditory weapon, some sort of frequency-based weapon? But yet these beings didn't care? Or this kid seriously has some sort of amazing capability to be able to see these beings that nobody else does. But that's not true, because we know that the family has been going through these paranormal events for many years and had him for many years afterwards. So the question is, number one, everybody should be terrified. Because at any moment you can be abducted by a species that has the technology to take you right through a wall. Number two, these are reptilians, not greys. You get abducted by greys, you're like, okay, they're greys. And they're not that threatening. They're 3 feet tall. Get abducted by some reptilians, that's scary. Number three, why was the reptilian there? Why was a large reptilian with 2 smaller reptilians there? And were the 2 smaller reptilians clones? Or were they actually living, breathing, bred, real reptilians? Were they out on a field trip with Dad? Or were they clones created by the species? 4, why did they take the girl? What's special about the girl? Why has it had to happen for so many years? Sounds like multiple decades. It seems bizarre, but maybe she has something special. But if she has something special and they took it, the DNA, for example, why would they have to keep coming back for it? It almost sounds like they need her DNA for, throughout the years to see what's changed, to take more of whatever they're taking, if it's adrenochrome or if they're taking loosh energy from her, or something else that we don't know. I'm not saying that it's always got to be loosh or it's always got to be adrenochrome. Maybe there's something out there we don't even know about. That's the even freakier thing. And the fact that, when they brought her back, like these lizards, nice enough that they brought her back. They could have just probably eaten her. Sounds like that's kind of what they tend to do. But they brought her back. But they didn't bring her back to her bedroom, which would have been nice, put her back in bed. And they didn't even bring her clothes back. Jesus, man, have some freaking consideration. But these guys don't care because they're just there for themselves, which means that we would perceive them as being evil. They perceive themselves as the hero, as everybody does of their own story. Everyone perceives themselves as their own hero. They're doing what they need to do for themselves, and we're doing what we need to do for ourselves. Are they inherently evil? To us, they would be. Are they inherently evil to themselves? Probably not. They're a warrior-based species. They really don't care. Think about this. If you had to take if you were just taking a random pet for some, like a blood sample or something like that, on another planet, and you just couldn't make it back. You toss them as close as you can to their kennel, right? I'm not saying I would do that. I'm just saying if you were a species out there and you were doing your experiments, if you couldn't make it quite back into the kennel, or you were lazy, or whatever the case is, you just toss it back. But damn, have some decency, man. Put some damn clothes on. So this one's really weird, really bizarre. I'm surprised we haven't heard about it earlier. But again, you got to remember, a lot of people keeps this stuff close to the vest. The entire family stated that this happened for decades, and they have not talked about it at all, which means the stories don't come out until a boyfriend who's dated you like 20 years ago comes out with a story. Is it true? Is it 100% true? We'll never know. But it seems to bear a lot of resemblance to a lot of stories. Although the reptilian part is very, very interesting, and I think it's kind of like holding a rare card in Pokemon, where you have something that's just kind of like legendary and ultra rare. I think this is a very ultra rare situation that happened and something that needs to be investigated. Were there other events like this in 2006 in New York or anywhere else in the Eastern Seaboard or in the Midwest? That would be interesting to look at. Kind of look at 2006. It doesn't state what month, although, yeah, I wish I could pull some kind of valuable information from this article that would tell us exactly what time period, but 2006 is when it was. So I would be interested to see what would happen, what else happened in 2006. If there were any other reptilian events surrounding 2006, that'd be interesting, especially around this Williamsville or just New York or just like, the northern, northeastern, right, states, the Ivy League states, right? So what do you think about this story? I think it's like holding an ultra rare card. I think that there's a lot of bizarre events happening in this case. Why wasn't this dude frozen? I mean, he did state that he was so shocked and stunned that he felt like he was having an out of body experience, but he didn't state that he was paralyzed. Why didn't they put everybody to sleep like it seems like they do with so many other abductions? They put everybody in the house to sleep so they could just abduct him. But this dude wasn't put to sleep. That's weird. He was going home. He was walking down the stairs right towards them, and they walked right in front of him. I mean, and then he wakes up in his girlfriend's bedroom. WTF, you know what I mean? There's just a lot of weird issues that happened in this particular story and event. And, we're not going to always hear about it. It's not always going to hit the paper. It's not always going to, be national news, because the only thing they care about with national news is trying to divide us, and that gives them more power. The more we fight against each other, the more power those reptilians get. So they're in control of all the media. So anywho, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Anybody had a alien abduction event or encounter with a reptilian? If you have, write into lockdownuniverse@gmail.com. Leave a comment on one of the episodes, or send us a message on Messenger, on Facebook. Love to hear from you. Love to hear what you have to say. Again, I'm hearing from more and more people each day. I'm picking through which stories I want to present and how I want to present them so I can give them the most accuracy. But I think that these stories like this really need to be taken to heart, because it could be you, me, or anybody that you love. So anyway, take care of yourselves. Surround yourself with white light. Take care of your physical health, your spiritual health, your emotional health. Follow through on your hobbies and your goals and your dreams, and as always, continue to question the universe around you. Until next time, guys, take care, and Lockdown Universe out. Peace. Go like, follow, share, subscribe. I'm out.